The Tank Man, a symbol of defiance and hope. On June 5, 1989, an unidentified individual stood in front of a column of tanks in Tiananmen Square, Beijing. This courageous act of defiance became a powerful symbol of the Tiananmen Square protests, a pro-democracy movement that was brutally suppressed by the Chinese government. The Chinese government has consistently tried to downplay or deny the events of June 4, 1989, claiming a counter-revolutionary rebellion was crushed. But the truth is, hundreds, possibly thousands of people were killed or injured when the army was ordered to clear the square. The identity and fate of the Tank Man remain unknown, but his image has become a powerful symbol of resistance and resilience in the face of oppression. Let us remember the Tank Man and the brave protesters who fought for freedom and democracy in China. Their courage and determination in the face of overwhelming odds serve as a powerful reminder of the human spirit's resilience and the universal desire for liberty. The events that unfolded in Tiananmen Square in 1989 were not just a moment in time, but a significant chapter in the ongoing struggle for human rights and democratic values worldwide. The image of the lone man standing in front of a column of tanks has become an enduring symbol of resistance and the fight for justice. This act of defiance captured the world's attention and highlighted the lengths to which individuals will go to demand their rights and freedoms. The Tank Man's identity remains unknown, but his legacy lives on as a testament to the power of peaceful protest and the impact one person can have on the course of history. The Tiananmen Square protests were a culmination of growing discontent among Chinese citizens, particularly students, who were calling for political reform, freedom of speech, and an end to government corruption. The movement gained momentum, drawing thousands of people from all walks of life to the square, united in their quest for change. Despite the government's attempts to suppress the movement, the protesters remained steadfast, demonstrating their commitment to their cause. The Chinese government's response to the protests was swift and brutal. On June 4, 1989, the military was deployed to clear the square, resulting in a violent crackdown that left hundreds, if not thousands, dead or injured. The exact number of casualties remains unknown, as the Chinese government has never released official figures. The crackdown was widely condemned by the international community, and it led to economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation for China. In the years since the Tiananmen Square massacre, the Chinese government has worked to erase the memory of the events from public consciousness. Censorship and propaganda have been employed to suppress information about the protests, and any attempts to commemorate the anniversary are met with harsh penalties. Despite these efforts, the memory of the Tank Man and the brave protesters endures, thanks to the efforts of activists, historians, and ordinary citizens who continue to share their story. It is crucial that we continue to raise awareness about the Tiananmen Square protests and the sacrifices made by those who stood up for their beliefs. By sharing their story, we honor their memory and keep the spirit of their struggle alive. We must also recognize that the fight for freedom and democracy is ongoing, and it requires our vigilance and support. Let us be inspired by the Tank Man and the protesters of Tiananmen Square to stand up against injustice and to advocate for a world where human rights and democratic values are upheld. Share their story and continue to raise awareness about this important chapter in history. #Tiananmen Square, #Tank Man, #democracy.